Stardew Valley is one of the most popular farming simulators on today's market. It's also one of the most easily addictive games that I've ever gotten my hands on. So today, I decided to play 100 days of it. Allow me to introduce you to some of my goals. In the next 100 days, I would like to be able to complete the community center. I would like to max out all of my skills, upgrade all of my tools, reach level 100 in the Skull Caverns, and get married to Emily. All of these are pretty reasonable tasks and can be completed in this amount of time. However, I'm still pretty new to the game, so I'm not sure if I can do it. This will be a challenge for me. Before we get into that, check down below and make sure that you are subscribed. Only 3% of my viewers are subscribed, so hit the button below and make sure that you're one of them. Day 1 could not begin until I picked the perfect shirt. I also checked the 1-year completion box for the community center. I hastily grabbed my parsnips and started clearing out some of my land for them. After planting and watering them, I continued to clear out land. I made a chest for my extra materials, and then I went to Pierre's to get some more parsnip seeds. I also made it a habit to check all of the trash cans in town while I passed by. I don't have any energy for much else besides introducing myself to the townsfolk, but sometimes talking to people is just as hard as chopping down a tree. Hey ladies! I planted all of the seeds before dark and then ended my first day. Day 2 started with watering, then I met Willie on the dock to inherit his old fishing rod. I got right to work, making him proud. I spent the rest of the day fishing. On the way home, I brought Emily a daffodil, and I know she's already in love with me. That night I leveled up in foraging and got 2 fishing levels. Day 3 was rainy, so thankfully I can skip the watering and use that energy towards pulling some money out of the ocean. And out of the river too, I guess. I stopped by the saloon to drop off another gift for Emily, and that night I leveled up again in fishing. Day 4, Clint was standing at my door, and I was very displeased at his arrival. Thanks for the furnace, I guess. I completed my rather short morning routine of crop care and was called back to the ocean quicker than Moana. After saving enough money, I was able to afford my first backpack upgrade. I spent the rest of the day fishing with the man himself. No surprise, I leveled up my fishing skills again that night. On day 5, Marnie was the one at my door. I really need a sign that says no trespassing. She offered me a stray cat and I named him Doorknob. It was also Parsnip Harvest Day. Later that afternoon, Louis showed me around the rundown community center that he has put no effort into fixing. But the Junimus agreed to help me if I brought them bundles of certain items. On the way home, I grabbed some more seeds I needed and planted them later that day. After that, it was time for the mines. I received a rusty old sword from Marlin and I headed down. I found a glow ring and a pirate hat. I got down to level 10 today and my reward was some leather boots. Yeah! That night I leveled up in farming. Level 1 farming! On day 6, I received a letter from the wizard asking if I wanted to try his new drugs, and who would say no to that? So I paid him a visit and tripped on his newest potion. Now I'm able to read the scripts in the community center and drop off the items requested to fix it. Then I completed my first bundle in the crafts room. The rest of my day was spent getting deeper in the mines. I reached level 20 and got a weapon for it. Somewhere along the way I picked up a party hat and it's been my newest obsession. That night I leveled up in both mining and combat. I spent all of day 7 in the mines doing my best to get as far down as I could. I went from level 20 to level 40. That night I leveled up again in mining. The morning of day 8 was spent at the community center donating items I had been collecting. After that, I headed to Clint's to crack open some geodes and donate the goodies to the museum. I got some cauliflower in return. The rest of the day was spent fishing in various bodies of water to get the fish I needed for the community center. Sunday marks the start of a new week, and I have another chance to give Emily a gift. That night I dropped the fish off and planted the cauliflower. Day 9 was another parsnip harvest day. I need to harvest at least 5 gold parsnips before the season is over for the community center. Today, I was only able to pull up 3, so I'll have to get some more. Then I stopped by Clint's to turn in my pickaxe for my first of many tool upgrades. Rude. Okay. I wasn't just standing there. Later that evening, I planted the wild seeds I had. I spent the rest of the night clearing out trees. I leveled up a lot that night in farming, fishing, and foraging. I chose the fisher profession. Day 10 started out with the usual farm chores. Then I went down to the beach to spend the day fishing for profit. I was visited that night by the crop fairy. On day 11, I was able to harvest my potatoes, and I continued to dig into everyone's trash. And boy, did I find something great. Oh! I found a garbage hat. And I will exclusively be wearing this hat from now on, thank you. After selling my stock to Pierre, I picked up my pickaxe from Clint, and in an attempt to pet my cat, I put the party hat on his head. He's wearing the party hat! I have never been more excited in my life. I spent the rest of the day getting deeper in the mines. That night I leveled up in farming, combat, and mining. To start day 12, I turned my axe into Clint for an upgrade and gave Linus a gift on my way up to the mines. I spent all afternoon and evening in the mines, this time not focusing on getting deeper, but focusing on gathering rocks and ores. When I came out, I found Linus digging in George's trash. Me too, Linus. It's a shame for food to go to waste. I gave the love of my life a gift, and then went to bed. Day 13 started with disappointment, as I was still short on my gold parsnips and this harvest. But today is the day of the egg festival, so no time to worry about that. I need to map out where my sprinklers are going to go to water my strawberries. I was able to purchase 20 strawberry packets, and afterwards I absolutely stepped on some children in the egg hunt. Abigail has nothing on me. That night, I scrambled to get all of my seeds down before 2 a.m. I woke up to rain on day 14, but it was truly a blessing because I hadn't finished placing my sprinklers. After getting them down, I went to Clint's to pick up my axe. Hopefully, this is the last round of parsnips I have to buy this season. While I was here, I took a detour to flirt with Pierre's wife because I know he's not doing it. The rest of the day was spent fishing for catfish. I had some pretty bad luck on day 15, and you won't find me in the caves on a bad day. This was also the second rainy day in a row. I started by donating some fish and crops to the community center, unlocking more stuff for me to do. I spent the rest of the day fishing and chopping down some trees. In the process, I found Robin's axe. That night in my sleep, I reached level 3 in foraging. Nice. On day 16, I had some spring forageables to harvest, some artifacts to donate, and some gifts to give. Gotta remind people that I still live in town. Later that evening, I reunited Robin with her missing axe. I finished the night with some wood chopping. I spent the entire day 17 in the mines, and I reached level 50. I got some tundra boots as a reward. I also leveled up in mining that night. Day 18 started with lots of land clearing. After all of that hard work, I started nosing around in the trash, and I found a trash catalog. I showed it to Clint and his shop while I was getting my geodes cracked. I spent the better part of the afternoon gathering salmon berries, and when I got home, I put down the trash catalog. This piece called out to me immediately. Oh my god, I love it so much. I spent the rest of the day fishing. Day 19 was a Friday, and that means I need to go check on the traveling cart. I've been awful at remembering to check her shop. She didn't have anything of interest to me, so I spent the rest of the day mining some iron ore. The days I spend in the mines only increase as I need more materials. The luck on day 20 was neutral. Not good, not bad. And since the luck isn't bad, I'm going to try and progress further in the mines. I started on level 55, and then I made it to 60. On that level, I got a crystal dagger, but I didn't end up using it. The luck isn't as great as I was anticipating, but I kept going deeper, and I found 3 of the 4 dwarf scrolls I needed. That night, I reached level 4 of farming. I'm forecasted good luck on day 21, so I had intentions of a mines day, but the strawberries called to me first. It's Sunday, so I took a stroll down to the traveling cart, but she let me down again. After that, I took a trip to town and sold my berries to Pierre so he can claim them as his own without my permission. Then I donate all of the dwarf scrolls to the museum. I'm missing the red one. Later that morning, I head to the mines. I started on floor 65, but didn't make good progress, so I decided to leave halfway through the day. On the way home, I stopped to give a gift to Emily and fulfilled a cauliflower request for Jody. The rest of the night was spent fishing out of the river. That night, I was able to reach level 5 in mining. Just gonna go with the miner. He's so cute! Look at him! On day 22, I paid a visit to the community center to drop off some things, and in doing so, I unlocked the bulletin board bundles. Then I swung over to Clint's to pick up my steel axe and traded it for a steel pickaxe. This is when I realized that I'd been missing birthdays because I have bad object permanence. I make a mental note that Emily's birthday is coming up. When I give her a birthday gift, it will give me significantly more friendship points than a regular gift. I swung back to the community center to complete some of the bundles in the boiler room, allowing me access to the vault. I tried to be a good neighbor and give out some flowers, but no one seemed to like them. I spent the rest of the day fishing to cope with my pain. I'm not crying, you are. Then I cleaned out the trees with the extra energy I had. I reached level 7 in fishing that night. I woke up to Demetrius on my front doorstep on day 23 with an offer I simply couldn't refuse. He offered to house fruit bats or mushrooms in the cave behind my farm, and I opted for the fruit bats. Only if I don't have to split my profits with you, Demetrius. With my fancy new axe, I now have access to the secret woods, where I come almost every day for hardwood and foraging experience. I did some fishing in the pond to catch a fish I needed for the bundles. After realizing that Willie's fishing rod kinda sucks, I walk over to his shop to purchase a new one. This was your plan all along, wasn't it? I spent the rest of the day making sure that it worked and collected fish for profit. That night I leveled up in foraging.
Nice.
I started day 24 with some tree clearing before the flower dance. The flower dance is so sad without Emily to dance with. Not with Shane, bro. Not with Shane. Oh. Girl, you got 2 men chasing after you. Relax. I woke up to more strawberries and a new pickaxe on day 25. Then I cracked open some geodes and put them straight into the museum. After remembering that I need to go back to Clint's, I turned my hoe in for an upgrade. Later that evening, I visited Robin to ask her to build me a chicken coop on my farm. I placed it in a vague spot next to my greenhouse. Then I ended the night in the secret woods. I started day 26 in the mines, attempting to progress further this time. First, I reached level 70 and got a slingshot weapon.
Ooh.
A little later, I reached level 80 and got some firewalker boots. After 80 was 90 and I got an obsidian edge. Happy with the progress I made, I called it a night and in my sleep I reached level 4 in combat. Day 27 was Emily's birthday. And guess who forgot about it? I spent all of it underground. I reached level 100, got my star drop, and I continued on for 5 more levels. Then I went ore hunting for the rest of the day. Even though we made necessary progress in the mines and got much needed resources, this was the day I made my first mistake. Missing Emily's birthday. That night I reached level 5 in farming and I picked the tiller profession. I also reached level 5 in combat and I picked the fighter profession. The cherry on top was level 6 mining.
Oh, yeah.
Day 28 was riddled with good luck. The first thing I did was sprint to the traveling cart, but I might as well have just watched paint dry because that would have been a better waste of my time. I had planned to take advantage of today's luck and use it in the mines, and I did some ore mining. Later that day I visited Clint's shop to pick up my copper hoe. Then it was back to the mines to try and knock out the remaining levels. On floor 110 I got some snazzy space boots, which I traded for my firewalker boots. Before I knew it, the day was over. Spring was over. Day 29 started by removing all of the old crops, replacing new sprinklers, and expanding my fields for the blueberries I was about to splurge on. I walked out with 75 blueberry seeds and a few other ones I needed. This entire day was spent fertilizing and planting my seeds. I needed to make a lot of moves in summer to complete all of my goals, and this was just the start. I almost finished watering before I went to bed at 1:40 a.m. Day 30 was another lucky one, so say it with me now. I went to the mines. I was determined to knock out the last 10 levels I needed to get to the end. And I did it! And great timing as well. My reward was a key into the Skull Caverns located in the desert. This was the first step of completing my goal of reaching floor 100 in the Skull Caverns. I finished my day by stopping by the saloon and cleared out the west side of my farm. Overnight, there was an earthquake that would shatter a boulder and let me into the northmost part of town. Oh? On day 31, I woke up to the mayor begging me to help him find his bright purple boxers. I begrudgingly agreed and got started on some fishing I needed to do down by the beach. Then, I donated some of the stuff I had been saving for the community center, completing a few bundles along the way. That night before bed, I planted some wild summer seeds for a few extra dollars. During my slumber, I reached level 8 in fishing. Day 32 started pretty usual with some watering, and I purchased my first chickens from Marty. I didn't know it at the time, but I purchased 2 white chickens from Marty. However, the community center requests 1 brown egg and 1 white egg, and I can't get the brown egg from the white chicken. I named them Curtains, though. After that, I went to the community center to drop off a fire quartz to complete the boiler room. Later that day, I broke open some geodes with Clint and donated them to the museum. Then I caught the sturgeon I needed. On the way to drop it off, Demetrius approached me about his share of the fruit bat cave. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about. That night, I completed a quest for Willie, and he gave me a prize ticket. Cool. During my slumber that night, the Junimos repaired the minecarts around town. A heavy fog has settled in over day 33 as the once-in-a-year green rain has moved in. This rain will lay a layer of moss all over the fields and trees. I spent most of my day collecting the moss and chopping down trees. The villagers took shelter in the saloon during this unknown phenomenon, and they all had very interesting things to say. I took some time to complete the beach bridge with the wood I've been collecting, then I went to the mayor's house to redeem a prize ticket. I got some squash. That night I reached level 5 in foraging. I chose the forester profession. The spirits were ecstatic on day 34, and it was time to harvest all of my wheat. I replaced them with my ticket squash. Then I paid a visit to Robin and asked her really nicely to build a barn on my farm. I placed it in front of the chicken coop. The rest of the day was just spent in the mines, gathering ore for a plethora of things, most notably sprinklers, bombs, tappers, and kegs. The boxers were spotted on day 35, and I started to bombard Marnie with gifts to try and get in her bedroom, the same way the mayor did. But I'm not close enough with her yet. Damn. After rummaging through Emily's trash, I walked into her sleeping, and in her dream she was thinking about me. The love pill I slipped in her drink is working. I woke her up to give her a topaz, but when I left, I found her outside cradling an injured bird. Emily, what did you do to that bird? My stalker energy was returned right back to me after Alex informed me that he knew my purchase history with Marnie. Why's my name in Shane's mouth? Crazy. I decided to spend the rest of my day fishing with Willard on the dock. Day 36 started with some mayonnaise machines for my eggs, and I started working on the layout of my farm. I was pathing all day, just defining the layout and making it easier to navigate. Later that day, I turned my hoe in for a steel upgrade. Day 37 was another lucky one, so after tending to my crops and animals, I spent the day mining. To finish the day, I donated a bunch of things to the community center. Seriously, nobody wants to help me with this at all? That night, I leveled up in mining. On day 38, I started by harvesting my forageables and then went down to Marnie's house to purchase some cows. I guess Alex is gonna hear about this too. I swung by Clint's later to grab my steel hoe and spent the rest of the day fishing. I reached level 6 in foraging and level 9 in fishing. We're almost there. Day 39 was the day of the luau, but before that I crafted my first preserve jar, the beginning of greatness. Then I sprinted down to the beach to socialize with some of the townsfolk. Ooh, my girl getting it down. She's unresponsive? I threw a gold star super cucumber into the soup and he absolutely loved it. I got the achievement of the best reaction I could get from the governor. This town would be nothing without me. On day 40, I spent some time detailing my farm and putting down paths and sprinklers to define the crop fields. Then I spent most of the day fishing and visited Emily to drop off a gift. I was feeling generous today, so I gave gifts to a handful of people in the saloon and encouraged Pam and Shane's drinking problems. At almost halfway through, I'm only at 4 hearts with Emily, and I think this is around the time I noticed I forgot her birthday last season. Whoops. Day 41 was melon harvest day, and I immediately sold them back to Pierre to plant my second batch. Then I went up to see Robin, and I asked her to upgrade my barn. I spent the day in the mines just collecting ore and slaying slime. I got my first book, being the Monster Compendium, which gave me a little extra combat experience. Then I planted my melons before bed. I also put down a few lightning rods for any storms throughout the season. That night, I leveled up in combat. Day 42 was the first blueberry harvest day, which I was very excited for. I collected my first oak resin from the makeshift bus stop tree farm, and I blessed Pierre with my crops. I turned around and bought some hops to make some pale ale for good old Pam. With the harvest money, I bought the 5-grain bundle of the vault, getting me a step closer to the desert. Later that day, I checked the traveling cart, and while I don't need it, I bought the duck feather for the community center just in case. After that, I spent the rest of my day fishing at the beach. But before bed, I put down a few more preserved shards to make those blueberries a little bit more valuable. That night, I received my second visit from the crop fairy. On day 43, I harvested the expedited crops and scored all 5 golden melons I needed for the community center. I spent some time on the farm wood chopping for the chicken coop upgrade. I finished my day fishing with Elliot. Thou art a strange fellow. Day 44 started with a trip to the community center to donate some more items that have been piling up. Then, I cracked open some funky rocks and donated more of my shiny possessions to the museum. I think I'm the only one doing anything. On day 45, I got tired of walking on dirt like a peasant, so I cleared out some grass to put a path to the south exit of my farm. While I was down there, I purchased a goat from Marnie and named him Lampshade. I also got a duck named Doc. Not sure why, I thought it was funny. This was enough for Marnie to like me, I suppose, because she let me into her bedroom and I was able to retrieve the mayor's missing boxers. This town is messy. Back home, I laid a bunch more padding down and crafted some cheese machines for my cow's milk. I woke up to my second blueberry harvest of the season on day 46, and this is when I realized I did not have the brown chicken that I needed. Dude, no way. So I sold curtains to the chicken gods above, who instantaneously evaporated him. I also sold my second cow for some reason too. Not sure why I gave up the cow, but I did. Then I went down to Marnie's and purchased a brown chicken this time. I named him Coat Rack. I walked into town to see Penny pushing around the disabled, literally. Then I donated 10 grand to the Volt bundle. I put up some more tappers on the trees that are totally mine at the bus stop, and I bought an apple tree from Pierre because I did not have confidence in the fruit cave to come through for me. I think Demetrius might be sneaking on my property and stealing all of the apples at night. Then I spent some time in the mines getting copper. That night I reached level 7 in farming and foraging. After completing my daily chores on day 47, I donated some more to the community center. This is where I came to the conclusion that I would need a crab pot, so I only crafted one because I do not care for crab pots. I fished the rest of the day away before stopping by the saloon and giving Emily another gift. Is this considered love bombing? Bright and early on day 48, I stocked my preserves jars and made use of my crab pot for the first and last time this entire video. The rest of this day was identical to yesterday, including both the fishing and Emily. This time, I cleared out some trees before bed. I relearned how to make the maki roll on day 49 and stopped by the traveling cart to pick up the red cabbage I was counting on her for. Finally, she will come through for me, but she will fail to do so in the future. I also purchased and planted some corn seeds for the community center, otherwise I would not have bought corn. Then I found some coffee beans lying around, so I planted those too. Yeah, you gotta move. Later that day, I caught a ghost fish in the mines for the community center and grabbed some iron while I was there. That night, I reached level 10 in fishing, my first maxed out skill. I chose the angler profession. Day 50 was full of good luck and blueberries. After completing my chores, I collected my profits and found something great in the saloon trash can. I found another trash catalog. That evening, I visited Lewis to give him his boxers and had a pretty relaxed night. While I was sleeping, mystery boxes were dropped all over the valley. I just hate it when you give me another reason to talk to Clint. On day 51, I started by donating 25 grand to the vault, and this was enough to complete the room. I really like this crystallarium they gave me. I stopped by Emily's aerobics class to give her a gift, and then I went back down to the mines. That night, the Junior Moose had fixed the bus since the vault was finished, and now I can travel to the desert. I also leveled up in mining. I wasn't ready to go to the desert yet, though, on day 52, so it started with a bunch more donations to the community center, and I spent the day on the beach collecting forageables and going fishing. After collecting some oak resin on day 53, I went into town to fulfill some requests. A hot pepper for George, a melon for Demetrius. Later that day, I stopped by Emily's house to give her a gift, and I got one from her instead. The rest of the day was spent out by the river. Day 54 was rainy with a high chance of good luck. It was also a blueberry harvest day, so I was overjoyed. After selling my berries, I gathered some supplies and jumped on the bus to the desert. When I arrived, I held my prismatic shard and stood between the pillars in the sand. I was granted a galaxy sword. With my new weapon, I ventured down into the mines for the first time. The goal in the caverns is to get as low as possible to complete challenges and find rare ores and gems. There is no bottom floor, but the further down you go, the better the loot and the better ores and gems you'll find. There's no save feature on these caves, so you start at level 1 each time you enter. That night, I reached level 21 in the mines and gained a level of experience in farming.
Let's go!
Now I can craft kegs, the real money maker. I don't have any footage for day 55. I think I just forgot to record it. But during that day, I went to Robin's to upgrade my chicken coop to a deluxe one, and I did a lot more random farm chores. The morning of day 56, I was dedicated to clearing out the rest of the trees and debris on my farm. I also paid a visit to the secret woods for some hardwood and foraging XP. That night, I attended the Jellyfish Festival without speaking a word to anyone and pondered as the last day of summer was over. Bright and early on day 57, I started by creating a tree tapper farm next to the greenhouse on my farm. I planted 3 of the tree types and framed them all with wood padding. Later that day, I made my trip to Pierre's and bought all of the seasonal crops I needed for the community center. Also, my entire life savings on cranberries. I genuinely did not realize how much money I would be spending. I wasted no time planting those and continued on with the farm chores. The rest of the day was spent fishing to make up some of the money I spent on the cranberries. On lucky day 58, I walked into town to see Robin and Lewis putting up a quest board. Here goes Lewis taking credit for crap that isn't his accomplishment again. Then I brought Pam the pale ale she had asked me for a while ago. And then she slurps it up on her way to her job as a bus driver. After that, I bought some more cranberries with the fish money I made last night and then put them in the ground. Then it was off to Skull Caverns. Today I reached level 37 in the Skull Caverns, and that night I reached level 7 in combat. Day 59 started off with a rabbit purchase from Marnie. I named him Wallpaper. Then I fished and mined the rest of my day away. I'm looking for ores to make kegs for berries and bombs for the Skull Caverns. It was a very boring day. I decided that day 60 was the Skull Caverns dive day, and I gathered all of the necessary materials and got there as early as I could. I popped a spicy eel and I gave it my best shot. Then, when I reached level 13, I died. After that, I angrily stomped around my farm, speed boost still applied, and crafted some kegs and preserve jars to convert more cranberries for profit. Then I stopped by the saloon to see Emily. Progress was coming along good with her. Only a few more gifts before I could make her my girlfriend. That night, I hit level 9 in mining. Day 61 was another lucky one, so I thought I'd give the caverns another shot. And on floor 6, I died again.
No way!
I cried about it and lost some good loot, but I continued on, just relaxed by the river for the rest of the day. On the bright side, I was able to complete a few bundles for the community center. I planted some seeds I got as a reward and called it a day. I reached level 8 in combat that night. I had a pretty good haul of fruits on day 62, and I turned in my pickaxe for an upgrade. I'm going to get through these caverns somehow. I fished for the rest of the day until I ran into Alex, revealing he has been watching me fish the entire time. What's up with the people in this town? I finished the night in the secret woods gathering some hardwood. On the way home, I ran into Shane on the dock and we shared a beer and some childhood drama. Day 63 was a corn harvest day, and I got 4 out of the 5 gold star ones I needed for the community center. But it's cool, because I don't have to buy new seeds and replant them. I cleared out some grass in front of my tree farm to make space for the beehive I had. I planted some flowers in front of it and made a nice little path. I was feeling generous, so I spent the rest of the day giving some gifts to the townsfolk so they will be nice to me.
Are you cheating on me with Sandy?
I finished with some fishing by the river. Day 64 was a good luck day, coupled with my first cranberry harvest. How wonderful! I collected my pickaxe from Clint and I was off to the skull caverns. I did really well today, reaching all the way down to floor 71. This is the farthest I've gotten yet. I also walked away with 58 iridium ore. I'm not gonna make it, that's okay. I tended to my farm before another skull cavern run on day 65. I crafted some bombs, grabbed some of the surrounding sustenance and Linus's basket, and I took off towards the desert. I spent almost all day in the mine, and by 5:30 I was at a whopping 6 floors, so I gave up and teleported back to the farm to try again another day. I did some miscellaneous chores and chopped some hardwood before the night ended. I leveled up in foraging that night. Day 66 started off very usual, and I was able to put some tappers on the trees that had grown on my farm. Then I spent the rest of the day chopping trees for the wood and the experience. With the wood, I purchased another barn upgrade from Robin. While I was in the mountain area, I popped in the mines for a little bit to grab some iron. Day 67 was my first honey harvest day. Pretty cool. And I expanded my ever-growing preserve jar army. I spent the rest of the day walking through the forest grabbing as many blackberries as I could. I'm going to use most of these as a food source, but I'll turn some of it into jam. My machine collection is coming along nicely. I harvested some wild fall forageables on day 68 and immediately crafted some more. I've been getting a lot of hardwood seeds in the secret woods, so I made a hardwood farm next to my house. And look, I'm in the secret woods right there. I decided I needed a spot for all of my machines to go, so I put a block of padding below my barn to house them all. I'm aware I could build a shed, but I don't want to. This day ended by fulfilling a quest for Emily. I needed to bring her 5 gemstones. Then I gave her an extra one just to have. That night, I reached 8 hearts with Emily. That means I can now ask her to be my girlfriend with a bouquet. Emily sent me a sewing machine on day 69, and it was another cranberry harvesting day for me. After collecting my profit, I went to the desert to buy some desert totems and fish up the sandfish for the community center. And of course I'm going to spend the rest of the day mining because I'm already in the neighborhood. I got down to floor 18, but I had to leave because I needed to buy a bouquet from Pierre before he closes at 5. I immediately booked it to the saloon to give it to Emily, officially making her my girlfriend. She's mine, Clint! That same evening, I donated the fish to the community center and completed the fish tank bundles. And then I did some more fishing to celebrate. That night while I was asleep, the Junimos magically removed the boulder from the side of the mountain, allowing ores and minerals to flow out into the river. I also reached level 9 in farming that night. Day 70 was a pumpkin harvest day, and after that my jars were freed up so I could move them over to their platform. After Marnie opened her doors, I brought her a bunch of amaranth, fulfilling a request she gave me. Then I purchased a pig to put in my barn. This is Mousepad. Later, I replenished the lack of pumpkins on my farm, and I put up a few more tappers. I went to the mayor's house to redeem a prize ticket but ran into Emily's fashion show instead. The ticket booth gave me a peach sapling. W pull, honestly. I spent some time fishing by the river with Harvey while he complained about his financial stability, or lack thereof. I moved over to the mountains to fish and ran into Willie. He gave me a pan to find all of the ores in the river. Super cool, and we'll totally make use of that! That night, I visited Emily at work to give her a gift and called it a night. After completing my chores on day 71, I went to the community center to drop some things off and completed all of the pantry bundles. To celebrate, I went into the mines to break some rocks. That night, the Junimos had magically repaired the greenhouse on my farm. Thanks, guys! I spent the morning of day 72 dressing it up with sprinklers and then attended the Stardew Valley fair. I only showed up for one thing, to show Pierre who's the better farmer. And maybe the star drop, that's kind of important to me too. I arranged my display and I knew that I was going to win. While Lewis judged my display, I spent my time playing the fishing and slingshot game to build up some coins. I topped it off with some gambling. Before even getting my prize for best display, I purchased my second star drop of the run. Lewis then informed me of what I already knew, and then I went home to my jam production. You have your wife, but I bet you still feel cold at night. I tended to the farm the morning of day 73, and my skills are rounding out very nicely. I did some wood chopping in the morning and walked into Emily's crystal healing session in the early afternoon. Then I gave her a gift. I was finally at 10 hearts with Emily, which means I can propose to her. But there's still a few things that I have to do before I can do that. I need to upgrade my house, and I need to buy the marriage pendant on a rainy day. This is when I made my second mistake. I was under the impression that the house upgrade would cost me $60,000 instead of the $10,000 that it actually cost. I should have started upgrading my house a while ago, but I waited because I was wrong. I spent the rest of the day on the beach fishing for money. I stayed out so late that I passed out on my farm trying to get back to my house. It's cold and lonely out here. Day 74 was a rainy cranberry harvest, and I sold as much as I could to save up for the house upgrade that I already had enough money for. This is also when I was turned down for the marriage pendant because I didn't have a big enough house. Feels bad, man. I had a bunch of forageables to harvest on day 75. Once I was done, I turned back around and planted some more. My jam production was coming along great. I craft a new keg or preserves jar almost every day to stack as many as possible. I also crafted a loom for all of the rabbit wool I'd been collecting. I spent the rest of the day fishing. That night after I went to sleep, there was a giant windstorm. It blew over a huge tree in the forest. Uh-oh. Grandma Evelyn was at my door in the morning of day 76 to give me an indoor gardening pot. Thank you, Grandma. Then I went straight to Robin's to get my house upgraded. My mistake was starting to unravel in front of me. With all the extra money I'd been saving up, I decided it was a good time to purchase another backpack upgrade. I also bought some more cranberry seeds while I was here for my greenhouse. I went home and immediately planted them. Then I stopped by the secret woods to end my night. This is when I discovered the fallen tree, and decided to turn it into a home for 100 hardwood. I'd been stockpiling it for moments like these. I started day 77 in the mines and ended it in the woods. Overnight, I was able to hit level 10 in mining. It took a lot of thought, but I eventually chose the prospector profession because I was always in need of coal and I don't habitually sell my metal bars. On day 78, Emily invited me to go camping in the woods with her. I completed all of my usual farm chores and then hit the mines again for some copper and iron. Then I dropped by the saloon to give Emily a gift and walk her out to the woods for our camping trip. Our time was interrupted by a bear and we had to spend the rest of our night cuddled up in my sleeping bag. I'm not complaining. That night, I leveled up in combat. I woke up to a new floor plan on day 79. I walked into my chicken coop to find both a duck feather and a rabbit's foot on the floor. What are the odds I find both of these in the same day? Then I ran off to Clint's to get an upgrade on my axe. Then it was immediately off to the desert. This was the first time I walked into Sandy's shop in 20 or so days since I got the bus fixed. Sorry, Sandy. Then I bought 50 of her starfruit seeds and took them home to plant in my greenhouse. I bought a much overdue silo from Robin on day 80. My animals will not go hungry this winter. Then I went down to Marnie's and dropped off a cave carrot that she requested. I don't think it's for the goats, guys. I took another goat off her hands while I was here because I was tired of only getting goat milk every other day. I spent the rest of the night fishing for albacore to complete a quest for Demetrius. My tree farm was coming in really nicely on day 81. My golden axe was ready, so I went to go pick it up. Then I traded it to get my first upgrade on my watering can. I got some mystery boxes out of Lewis's machine, which is cool, I guess. Then I got home and made an oil machine for the truffles that my pigs will dig up for me. After that, I made a fried egg for the community center. My keg empire was just beginning. That night, I reached level 9 in foraging, which allows me to craft a rain totem. I didn't realize how important this item was to me at the time. Day 82 was a small harvest day, and I got another duck feather from my coop, and I sold as many items as I could to Pierre. Then I stopped by Emily's house to make sure she still loves me. Then it was off to fighting dust sprites in the mines for some coal. That night, my cat finally told me he loves me. Day 83 was my second and last pumpkin harvest. Robin was done building my silo, so I started to gather the hay before the winter season. That night, up in the mountains, Linus asked me to come inside his tent.
Hey, yo!
Then I attended the Spirits Eve festival and socialized a little. I was the only one to complete the maze, and I got the golden pumpkin. That night, I reached level 10 in farming.
Ooh.
I chose the artisan profession. Day 84 was the last day of fall, but fortunately not the last cranberry harvest thanks to my greenhouse. The keg collection only multiplies by the day. This is when I made my third mistake. It doesn't rain during winter in Stardew Valley, and I need the rain to get the marriage pendant, so I crafted a rain totem and used it immediately. The catch is that the rain totem doesn't work on the first day of the season, so I basically did this all for nothing. I went on as usual and I picked up my watering can from Clint. Then I asked him to upgrade my hoe for me. I spent my night wood chopping and dust sprite hunting. When I got home is when I made my 4th mistake. In my nightly session to decide what I need to bin, I decided I did not need the truffle oil I had. I was wrong. I need the truffle oil to craft another rain totem, and I will no longer be able to make any because my pigs do not leave the barn in the wintertime. I'm not going to be able to marry Emily this year. But wait, there's one last hope. The traveling cart. She carries both truffles and truffle oil, so from now on I just have to cross my fingers and hope that she has one of these in her shop in the coming weeks if I wanted to complete this goal. This is when I realized on day 85 that the rain totem did not work. Rain totem? Question mark? Despite not having rain, I planted my powder melons, and I didn't anticipate like that. I tended to my animals as usual. On my way to town, I saw a shadowy figure that I have to try and find later. I found a few forageables I needed on the beach. Then Caroline complained to me about her daughter, and I consoled her with the pumpkin she asked me for. I spent the rest of the day mining. I was really focused on building up for Skull Caverns now because I had less farm work to worry about. Day 86 started my streak of bad luck, but I did make a bunch more preserve jars and collect some more fruit. Then I went around trying to find all of the winter forageables. I was focused on the snow yam the most. Then I picked up my golden hoe from Clint and turned it in for a steel watering can. I found some more powder melon on the beach and finally dug up the snow yam I needed. Get this, the wizard's ex-wife landed on my chicken coop that night and turned one of my eggs into a void egg. Day 87 was bad luck day 2. I collected my void egg and popped it into the incubator to hatch a void chicken. You can't find those at Marnie's. Then I had a bunch of pine tar to harvest. Later, I stopped by Emily's house to bring her an emerald. Then I spent some time at the beach fishing for a seaweed to make a maki roll. With that in hand, I went up to the community center and finished up all of the remaining bundles. I did the mayor's job for him and completed the community center. That night, I did a few random tasks on my farm, and after I went to bed, the Junimos repaired the bridge to the quarry, unlocking a small piece of land and one-floor cave called the Quarry Mine. Another day of bad luck on day 88, so I went to the newly unlocked quarry and started to blow up some of the ores I found there. On my way to town, I ran into the celebration of the community center. Then I stopped at Clint's to pick up and drop off my watering can. Then I skipped the bus toll with a totem to the desert. I don't think Pam needs to be driving the bus anyway. I picked up some more starfruit seeds for winemaking later, and I did a little practice for my run through Skull Caverns. Day 89 broke the bad luck streak, but it was mid-luck day at best. I eagerly stopped by the traveling cart, but she did not have anything of interest to me. Then I stopped by Willie's shop for the first time in a while to look at his decrepit boat. I fixed it up on the spot with 5 battery packs, 200 hardwood, and 5 iridium bars. I better get a fantastic birthday present from this guy. Then I went back home to tend to my cranberries and plant all of the starfruit I bought. That night I was shown a cutscene of Willie and Robin fixing up the old boat. Finally, I don't have to do everything around here. On unlucky day 90, I received a letter from Clint asking me to hit on my girl for him in exchange for absolutely nothing.
Man, that is my wife.
And I took my anger out on some rocks in Skull Caverns. I made it to a treasure chest on level 47, granting me with an auto petter. W find. Ooh, which hole to choose?
The way I just said that, bro.
I got down to floor 73 before teleporting home today. This is the farthest I've gotten in a while. No luck for me on day 91, but I did have a bunch of oak resin to collect. The traveling cart fails me again with her lack of what I need. Then I stopped by Clint's to collect my watering can. Then I turned my hoe in to be upgraded for the last time. I chopped down some stumps and some trees, and suddenly I ran into the wizard. Oh? He dumped his ex-wife drama on me, and I continued to do what I do best. Mind my business. I took the night to expand my keg platform. The spirits hate me on day 92, but at least my first batch of starfruit are ready to be picked. The wine will be legendary. Then I attended the ice festival where I fished alongside my best friend Pam. Of course I won the fishing contest and took my prize of fishing related stuff. Day 93 was also very unlucky, yet I carried on and witnessed the birth of my void chicken. It was baseboards. I chopped some more trees down in the quarry and collected my iridium hoe from Clint. I gave him my axe because I was stuck between two of my goals, maxing out all of my levels or upgrading all of my tools. I visited the museum for the first time in a while, and I ventured into the quarry mine for the first time. I fought some skeleton heads and some slime, and when I reached the end, I found a statue holding a golden scythe. It belongs to me now. After I got home, I expanded my tree farm a little bit, but used fertilizer this time to ensure their growth. I was about to give up on my hopes and dreams on day 94. I collected the few crops that grew in the wintertime, then I had more to give to the museum. Reluctantly, I stopped by Emily's house to give her an amethyst Clint asked me to. And he didn't even reimburse me for it. Nevertheless, it was cranberry harvest day, and then I relocated my beak houses to live right outside of Grandpa. I collected a lot of jam today. Not bad luck, but still no good luck on day 95. I decided I was going to give the mines a shot regardless. I fought dinosaurs, blew up mummies, fell down holes, and even reached a treasure chest on level 46. But I was stuck once again at floor 71. I thought my chances of floor 100 were gone on day 96, but I continued to take care of my farm and incubate my second void chicken. I checked in with the traveling cart with a glimmer of hope. Nothing to be found. Just when I thought it couldn't be worse, I went to pick up my axe from Clint, and he was lollygagging at the community center. Bro. So I took my frustration out on the mines, attempting to reach level 10 in my combat skill. I passed out on my farm after trying to make it home. Suddenly, things felt different on day 97. I crafted some materials I would need for the plunge. I neglected all of my farm chores and the iridium axe in Clint's shop. I was headed to the caverns. I got a very strong start this day. I was progressing faster than ever before. I even found some really cool items along the way. Before I knew it, I reached the chest on floor 100. It took me all day, but I finally did it. I ultimately reached floor 110, and then I went back to the farm. I finally reached level 10 in combat, and chose the brute profession. Now the only skill left behind is the foraging skill. I made some more kegs on day 98, and I wasted no time getting to Clint's to trade my axe for my pickaxe. I checked the traveling cart for the last time, and was unable to get what I needed. I did my best to build my foraging skill, chopping the stumps in the secret woods. Then I visited the wizard to fulfill a quest, and I gave him a gift while I was in the tower. That night was spent tending to my wine and jam. I chopped down some of my tapper trees in a fit of desperation, but made sure to replant them. The fruit was plentiful on day 99, and it was yet another cranberry harvest day. I absolutely love this crop. I gained some experience stump chopping and planted some more trees on my farm. This day, I was finally able to donate the last dwarf scroll to the museum, allowing me to speak Dwarvish. This would have been helpful much earlier, but I survived. I chopped down all the trees in the desert, searching for any ounce of foraging experience I could find. I even found an experience book, but it didn't help enough. I popped in the shop to grab a few more starfruit seeds before I left, and I planted them when I got home. Later that night, I attended the night market and got myself a free cup of coffee, and later got drugged by a mermaid. The first thing I did on day 100 is grab my iridium pickaxe. I immediately traded it for an iridium watering can. I spent as much time as possible this day hunting down the remaining trees and demolishing them for experience. Unfortunately, I had run out of trees in Stardew Valley, but remembered I can hop on Willie's boat. This will take me to Ginger Island. After I arrived, I found my first golden walnut and fed it to the bird in the strange hut. This allowed me to access the north side of the island, where I did my best to chop down all of the trees. Forget looking for walnuts, I need level 10 foraging. After chopping all the trees, I head home. I give Emily another gift to show I still care and fulfilled a quest for Gus. I ended the night just short of reaching level 10 foraging and filling out all of my skill bars. With that, the night ended. If you still remember, I set 5 goals for myself throughout these 100 days. Get married, reach level 100 in the Skull Caverns, complete the community center, max out all of my skills, and upgrade all of my tools. I was able to complete 2 out of 5 of them, and I narrowly missed the other 3. All I needed was one more level of foraging experience, my iridium watering can, and a mermaid's pendant. I took a screenshot of my farm, so I will show you a panoramic of that on the screen. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing farm, but it's beautiful to me. I think these last 100 days of gameplay have been very successful. Let me know if you want to see more of this farm in the future. I worked very hard on this project, and if you all enjoy this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to make more content like this.